Ethan sat alone in the quiet research station orbiting the pale blue planet. The hum of machinery filled the room, the kind of sound that made him feel both alive and strangely isolated. He was an engineer, not a soldier, and most of his days passed in routines of checking systems, repairing minor faults, and analyzing data sent from the planet below. He liked his work. It gave him a purpose. But tonight the stillness felt different, heavier somehow, like the air itself was holding its breath. The station's security monitors flickered faintly. Ethan sipped his lukewarm coffee and glanced at the screens. Every system seemed normal. The docking bays empty, the corridors silent. He frowned. Something didn't feel right. He leaned forward, his eyes scanning the feed from the far side of the station. That's when he saw her. A figure moved with uncanny speed near the outer docking bay. It wasn't human. The shape was sleek, lean and fluid, moving almost like it floated rather than walked. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. No alien visitors had been expected, not ever. Protocol dictated that any unknown vessel would be flagged, quarantined, or, if necessary, fired upon. But this was different. The figure was already on the station, already inside. Before Ethan could react, an alarm blared. The door to the small airlock hissed and slid open, and she stepped through. She didn't knock. She didn't announce herself. She simply moved into the room with confidence that shocked Ethan. Ethan froze. His first instinct was to reach for the security override, to lock the doors, to make sure this intruder couldn't get further inside. But then she spoke, her voice calm and measured with an accent that was strange but not harsh. "Engineer," she said, "I need access. Systems failing. I cannot repair alone." Ethan blinked. What are you?" She ignored the question. Her movements were deliberate, precise. She removed her outer armor-like suit with efficiency, folding it neatly and setting it aside. The suit had protected her from vacuum and hostile environments, but underneath her form was surprisingly human-like, though not entirely. Her skin shimmered faintly under the station lights, and her eyes reflected an intelligence that made Ethan uneasy and curious all at once. "I cannot stay here long," she said, "but I need space." "Move over," Ethan's mind raced. The situation felt impossible. He didn't understand her species, her language patterns, or her technology. Yet her tone carried urgency he could not ignore. Slowly, he stepped to the side, gesturing toward the small workstation. "Okay, you can use this," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She moved to the terminal with a grace that made Ethan realize she had trained for speed and efficiency. Her hands worked quickly, typing commands and connecting devices in ways that made him lean closer to see. Sparks of blue light danced across the interfaces, flickering in patterns Ethan didn't fully understand. He felt out of his depth but also strangely excited. This was not a regular night on a research station. This was something else entirely. "What is your name?" Ethan asked cautiously. "I am Lyra," she replied without looking up. Her focus never wavered. "I come from beyond your system. I was sent to recover data. Something catastrophic is coming. I need this station's relay to warn my people." Ethan swallowed hard. His first instinct had been fear, but now that he heard her explanation, fear mixed with a sense of responsibility. This was bigger than him, bigger than the station. His world had never faced an alien crisis, yet here it was, landing on his doorstep. "What kind of catastrophe?" he asked. She paused, finally turning to meet his gaze. Her eyes were wide, serious, and steady. "An approaching patrol, hostile. They will destroy anything in orbit. I need to transmit coordinates before they arrive." Ethan's pulse quickened. He had never been in danger like this before. Every protocol he knew told him to run, to secure himself, maybe even to call for help. But he didn't have the chance. And anyway, help was light years away. The only option was to cooperate. He nodded almost automatically. "All right, let's do it." For the next several hours, Ethan and Lyra worked side by side. They didn't talk much. Words were unnecessary when life itself hung in the balance. Ethan watched her carefully, learning how her species approached technology. She was precise, methodical, and astonishingly fast. Every movement was deliberate, as though she had anticipated every problem before it even appeared. Ethan offered what he could. Sometimes it was advice on human engineering principles. Other times it was just handing her tools she needed without breaking her rhythm. Slowly, an understanding formed between them, quiet and unspoken, built on shared purpose rather than friendship or familiarity. Then the warning came. The station's sensors picked up multiple objects moving rapidly toward them. Lyra's eyes narrowed as she scanned the displays. "They are closer than expected," she said. "If we do not finish the relay now, it will be too late." Ethan's hands shook slightly as he assisted with the final connections. The objects on the screen were not like anything he had studied. They were sleek, dark, and angular, moving in patterns that suggested intelligence and strategy rather than random motion. Every instinct screamed danger, but Ethan forced himself to stay focused. Lyra glanced at him briefly. There was a moment of acknowledgement, a silent recognition of the stakes. Then she returned to her work. Sparks flew as circuits connected, and Ethan realized she had repurposed parts of the station's systems to amplify her signals. Her ingenuity was astounding. Finally, the relay came online. A pulse of energy spread through the station's communications array, and Lyra's voice softened slightly. "It is done. The message has been sent. My people will know. They will prepare." Ethan exhaled, almost collapsing into his chair. You did it," he said, disbelief in his voice. Lyra straightened, her posture elegant and poised. "We did it," she corrected. She paused, then glanced at the airlock. "But our work is not finished. The patrol is still coming. We must prepare for them." For the first time, Ethan realized that the danger was not over. They were still alone, still trapped on this isolated station and still facing unknown enemies. And yet, amidst the tension, there was a spark of exhilaration. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt like more than just a solitary engineer. He was part of something greater, something that could define the future of multiple civilizations. Hours passed, and the patrol drew closer. Ethan and Lyra barricaded entrances, recalibrated sensors, and tested the station's defensive systems. Every alarm, every flicker of the monitors made their hearts race. But through it all, a strange rhythm developed. Lyra's movements, precise and calm, guided Ethan's frantic energy into productive action. They were a team, unlikely but effective. Finally, Lyra paused and looked at him. "You have human ingenuity," she said softly. "I underestimated you. Many humans are limited. You are not." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had never considered himself exceptional. But in this moment he realized that human creativity, imperfect, chaotic, unpredictable, was exactly what made them capable of facing impossible odds. Suddenly the station shook. The patrol had arrived. Dark silhouettes appeared on the sensors, moving closer with precision. Ethan felt a surge of fear, but also adrenaline. This was the test of everything they had prepared, and he knew deep down that surrender was not an option. Lyra moved to his side, her hand brushing briefly against his shoulder, not in affection but in a silent signal. "Stay calm. Stay focused." Ethan nodded. They would face this together. Whatever came through the docking bays, they would endure. Humanity's resourcefulness, combined with Lyra's advanced knowledge, gave them a chance. And as the first shadow of the patrol appeared on the main viewport, Ethan realized one undeniable truth. This night, this unexpected arrival, had changed him forever. The universe was bigger, stranger, and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. But he would meet it head-on with courage, wit, and resolve. The door to the next challenge opened, and Ethan didn't flinch. He was ready. The station shook again, stronger this time. Ethan gripped the edge of the console, forcing himself to stay steady. Outside the viewport, dark shapes glided closer, their sharp edges reflecting the distant light of the planet below. Lyra's fingers moved over the controls with practiced precision, connecting the station's systems to her portable devices, repurposing everything in ways Ethan could barely understand. "They are attempting to disable our sensors," she said calmly. "We must act quickly." Ethan nodded. "What can I do?" he asked, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. "Observe and assist," she said. "I will guide your actions." For the next tense minutes, Ethan followed her instructions. Every lever, every switch, every override command had to be perfect. One mistake could leave them exposed. But Ethan's hands were steady, his mind clear. He had learned to trust her instincts, and in return she trusted his judgment. The alien patrol moved in patterns that suggested strategy, not randomness. Ethan could see it in the way they approached. Calculating, precise, expecting the station to respond in predictable ways. but they had not accounted for human creativity. Lyra glanced at him, eyes sharp. Do you understand the plan? Ethan swallowed and nodded. Yes, we'll use the station's communications to create false signals. They'll think we've evacuated or the station is empty. Correct. But timing is crucial, Lyra said. If they discover the ruse, we may not have another chance. They moved quickly with a rhythm that seemed to synchronize despite their differences. Ethan adjusted power flows, rerouted communications, and synchronized sensors with Lyra's commands. Sparks flickered along the panels. Lights blinked rapidly and alarms sounded, creating a symphony of chaos that masked their true intentions. Outside, the patrol hesitated, sending smaller drones to investigate. Ethan held his breath as one of the drones glided past the viewport, its sensors scanning for life forms. Lyra's adjustments to the station's signals created a decoy, and the drone passed without detecting them. Ethan exhaled quietly, feeling a mix of relief and adrenaline. You are learning fast, Lyra said. Her tone was not mocking but impressed. Humans have adaptability, it is remarkable. Ethan flushed slightly but focused on the next step. Lyra had repurposed part of the station's defense grid. It wasn't designed to fight but to observe, to protect delicate research instruments. Now under her guidance it became a trap. Energy pulses and magnetic fields shifted, creating barriers that could mislead or temporarily disable enemy ships without destroying them. Hours passed in a tense blur. The patrol attempted several approaches, each more cautious than the last, each thwarted by Ethan and Lyra's combined ingenuity. Ethan marveled at her ability to think ahead, to plan moves in ways his mind could not always follow. And yet he realized his own contributions were vital too. Without his understanding of the station's systems, some of her plans could not have worked. Finally, the largest of the patrol's ships appeared in the viewport, dark and imposing. Ethan felt a surge of fear, the kind that made his heart pound and palms sweat. But Lyra's calm presence steadied him. We must finish the final step, she said. We will lead them into a trap and force retreat. Are you ready? Ethan nodded. Ready. They activated the station's final defensive measure. Energy fields rippled through the outer corridors, creating false readings and automated countermeasures. Lights flickered and the hum of machinery intensified. Ethan followed Lyra's precise instructions, rerouting power, opening emergency vents, and preparing decoy signals. The patrol hesitated, then advanced. For a moment, Ethan thought they might have failed, but then the first ship entered the trap. Its systems were confused by the falsified readings and automated countermeasures triggered, forcing it to retreat. One by one, the remaining ships followed, unable to adjust quickly to the unpredictable strategy crafted by Lyra and Ethan. Ethan exhaled slowly, exhaustion washing over him. Lyra stood beside him, her expression unreadable, yet her posture relaxed slightly. It is over for now, she said. He looked out at the viewport, seeing the patrol ships fade into the distance. Relief and disbelief mixed in his chest. We did it, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. Together, human ingenuity and cooperation. The two of them stood in silence for a moment, catching their breath. Ethan felt a strange sense of connection. Not friendship exactly, but a recognition of shared struggle, a bond formed through danger and trust. Your species is remarkable, Lyra said. Many would have panicked. Others would have failed. You adapted, improvised, and acted decisively. That is why we survived. Ethan smiled faintly. I guess humans aren't always predictable, he said. Sometimes that's a good thing. Lyra's eyes flicked to the terminal. The data has been transmitted. My people are aware of the threat now. They will act to prevent disaster. Ethan felt a surge of pride. This isolated station, this small human outpost, had contributed to saving an entire civilization. It was almost overwhelming to comprehend. Why did you come here? Ethan asked. Why risk everything to involve me? Lyra looked at him thoughtfully. Because sometimes the smallest element can change the outcome of events far greater than itself. You are such an element. Ethan chuckled softly, still catching his breath. So what now? Lyra paused. I must leave soon. The patrol may return and my mission requires me elsewhere, but you have proven yourself. I hope to meet again under safer circumstances. The thought of her departure brought an unexpected pang of regret. They had faced danger together, relied on one another, and now the station would feel emptier without her presence. But Ethan understood. Her people's survival was more important than lingering companionship. "I hope we do meet again," he said, trying to match her calm tone, "and I hope next time it's under better circumstances." Lyra nodded. She moved toward the airlock, preparing her repaired ship for departure. Ethan followed, helping with the final checks. Her vessel was compact, efficient, and entirely alien, yet there was a certain elegance to its design. Every line, every surface seemed intended for speed, stealth, and survival. "Remember," Lyra said as she activated the airlock, "human creativity can be your greatest strength. Trust it. Trust yourself." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I won't forget." The airlock hissed and Lyra stepped through. Her ship powered up with a soft hum, lifting off the station and disappearing into the void. Ethan watched until the lights faded, leaving the station quiet once more. He returned to the console, scanning the data left behind by Lyra's systems. Her technology was unlike anything he had encountered, yet he found ways to adapt some of it to the station's ongoing research. Ideas sparked in his mind, possibilities for future projects and discoveries that could benefit humanity. Hours later, as the station's hum returned to its usual rhythm, Ethan sat back in his chair. He felt tired, exhilarated, and more alive than ever before. This night had changed everything. The universe was vast, full of unknowns and dangers, but also opportunities for ingenuity, bravery, and cooperation. For the first time, he truly understood what it meant to be human. Not just capable of survival, but capable of shaping events, influencing the fate of worlds and standing shoulder to shoulder with beings from across the stars. The station floated silently above the planet, a small beacon of human resourcefulness. Ethan knew that the universe had challenges yet to come, threats that would test every skill, every instinct. But he also knew that humanity's resilience, creativity, and courage would always shine, even in the darkest moments. And somewhere, beyond the stars, Lyra's people were taking action because of him. That thought filled him with quiet pride and hope. The night had been dangerous, unexpected, and terrifying, but it had also revealed a truth Ethan would carry forever. Humanity could face the unknown, adapt and overcome. The station hummed softly around him, a lullaby of machines and life. Ethan leaned back, finally allowing himself a moment of peace. Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, each one a reminder of how small yet powerful he truly was. And somewhere out there, an unlikely ally remembered a human engineer who had dared to rise to the challenge, and together, they had changed the course of events for an entire civilization. The universe was vast. The threats were real, but for the first time Ethan felt ready.